with Jeff and Casey, the Jeff and Casey show. So, I'm Steve with Up and Down. Some of you may not be familiar with Up and Down, so I'm just going to take a quick second to talk about it. Up and Down is a local outdoor adventure nonprofit. We do 163 events a year, everything from climbing and cycling and hiking and camping and volunteering, the speaker experience, stand-up paddleboarding, pretty much anything and everything non-motorized outdoors. 160 days a year. Please come visit us. Come pray. We have no excuse not to be there. This particular evening is, as I mentioned, the Jeff and Casey show. I don't know if the flyers are here. So it's a night of passion, is what we're calling it. Jeff and Casey have been running HM and Coalition, two back companies for a couple of years now. And what's really cool about these two jokers is they haven't forgotten where they came from, which is pretty much the ghetto, and where they're going, which is pretty much the ghetto. So hopefully there's some good and bad. You guys have to have one tonight. We know these guys for a bunch of years. They're genuinely good people. They really do care about the culture and about the great outdoors and cheap beer. So without further ado, Jeff and Casey, you guys ready to rock and roll? If you guys have questions tonight, please harass them, roast it, all that fun stuff. They need it. There are going to be some profanity, racial tirades, I feel, and some other excitement. So here they go.
So to start off, who the hell are these guys? My name is Casey, as Steve mentioned. Born in Boulder, Colorado. I now live in Denver. I kind of head up all things brand management and media creation for both of our brands.
My name is Jeff, and I started NHM in 2009, and I'm from Boulder, Colorado, and as well. And yeah, experience. So we're just running some random experiences and it's going to seem out of context, but we'll get back to that. So, stuff that we've done within the past 6 years. We've attended cockfights in the Philippines. We've hiked on the Maxi Volcano in the Bataan Peninsula, which is also in the Philippines. We eat definitely the best sushi we've ever had in Japan, and there is definitely a difference between there and the world to that. Shot 30 caliber machine gun out of the back of the truck in Vietnam. We have experienced multiple run-ins with ladyboys in Southeast Asia. Climbed the Austrian Alps while being serenaded with yodeling in the background. And we definitely drank, and this is actually not me, this is more me, drank from the beer from the Toothless Man and got extremely sick from it.
Alright, yeah. Add on to that, we also shot medieval weapons at a 1,000-year-old castle in the Czech Republic somewhere. I was also forced into getting a very invasive massage in a Korean, I don't want to call it a bathhouse, but it was pretty much a bathhouse by a sewer. We had beers and conversation with a dozen Filipino ladies in the night. We also ran from a pack of set ladies after not accepting their services. We explored beautiful Japanese gardens and ancient temples, and we riverboated to Mekong with a new toothless friend that you can see there at the bottom right.
And continuing, we have walked down a nice little pond, butt naked, in a Czech sauna to be greeted by an entire bachelorette party without towels in sight. We have learned quickly how tattoos are extremely taboo in Japan and hinders any sort of business you want to do. We have been up hiking, backpacking, snowboarding trips in the week of account. Drank a ton of PBR, mostly with these up and down idiots. And we drank German beer from Not German Beer. It's lasted a lifetime. Same time as Germany. Got a tattoo of a taco in Mexico, and we met their girls.
All right, to end it off here, we also dove off a high dock into a pond in Austria, in the middle of the night, also while completely naked and drunk. We played pool with streetwalkers in Ho Chi Minh. We've been on TV, the radio, newspapers, and we filmed for a national TV show. We aimlessly wandered through the Gangnam province looking for a hotel. One of us also got a tattoo of a sausage in Berlin, and we met a sloth.
So there is a point to this. Yeah, so it's a lot of random, really weird experiences. Some were completely ridiculous, some were awesome, some sucked. But every experience we just read, I was definitely not from some random college vacation. They were actually stuff we've done within the past 6 years, and it's all been while conducting business. So it's just one of those things. It's been a crazy ride, and that's kind of where we're going to share that experience with you guys tonight. Not all the details of the stories, but we're actually excited to make a point about turning your passion into a career and kind of the crazy life experience that leads to that you would never expect. So basically, how this all came to be is in 2009 is when we started MHM, and it kind of stemmed out of a few things like he and I both we had completely refused to settle. There was just no way we would end up working a corporate job. And that dislike of the corporate world and wanting to do this really came as a result of years and years of job cleaning windows, just being in that corporate environment, cleaning people's windows and having essentially treat you like dirt, gives you a distaste for that world. And that's why we knew we had to blaze our own path. So that led to it. And another thing with this plug for industry is we saw a niche that was available because we really didn't like the industry and the products that were there at the time, and even to a certain extent we still don't to this day, which surprises a lot of people that it's a contradiction where we have a lot of dislike from the industry. We love the outdoors, we have a dislike from the industry, so that's why we are able to talk about what we're really niche for ourselves and what we do. But really, the biggest reason I want to talk about is creating, merging your passion with a career is a good mix of being impulsive and stupid. Because that's honestly probably the biggest reason that we've been successful in what we've done and where it all came to be. Really, the thing is, we hear it a lot. It's like you just can't expect to sit safely. Everyone wants that idea. They want something they can run with. It's like. Everyone wants to be their own boss. We hear all the time like, oh, I want to do that, I just don't have the right idea yet. But the thing, it sometimes does take time, but really you can't sit there and just expect that those two worlds are going to cross paths, and you're just going to, all of a sudden one day, hey, my passion and my career here is perfect and it's awesome. You actually really have to actively seek that out and refuse to settle. And it's hard work to do it, but once you do it, it's awesome and incredibly rewarding, and it's worth the effort and time. You can't just sit back and let that happen. And you just have to embrace that impulsive voice in your head. We all have it. With certain situations, like some of the stuff around that board, where we probably should not have listened to the impulsive voice in your head. But at certain times, it is right, and then you gotta go with it and see where it takes you. Because if we had not done that and just ran with it, we definitely wouldn't be here. I literally remember the second I got the idea to start MHM, sitting at an intersection on my way back to cleaning windows. And the idea just kind of popped in my head. Within 2 weeks, I ran out. Within 2 weeks, I had the initial designs for our first 3 bags done, and was in Bozeman, Montana, talking to the 2 developers to sew the first bags. So it really does require some impulsiveness to really run that. Okay, so this is why starting it was stupid. These are quotes, but it really actually was, if you look at it from a logical standpoint, pretty stupid what we did. Because we did start it in 2009, which you remember was a pretty bad recession. I just graduated college, I was 22 years old. I had no experience in business, no formal design training, or any real financial backing. And not to mention, it's a very overcrowded market. It still is. It's even worse now. There's, Paxer, Dime Dozen, there's a million companies who do it. Most of them have been in business for 40 years. We knew it was going to be a long uphill battle, but still decided to do it. And so that in mind, like, this is kind of counter to why it was not stupid. What we've learned down the road a little bit in the face of those challenges is, even though we started in the recession and times seemed like we get horrible ideas to start a business, actually in certain aspects that's the best time you can actually, take an opportunity and run with it, because it almost serves the sense of clearing out the old and creating almost a new generation of businesses. As a way of natural selection, getting those old, big, funky businesses out of there and allowing for new ones to spawn. So that's I think why it was a good idea to go in the middle of the recession. The other thing is, like, even though we had no formal training in any of the aspects we should have had to start a business and run with it, I'm a firm believer that you can become an expert really quickly if you get thrown in the fire, fire in your ass, and learn through experience. There's so many things you can learn outside of the classroom, just by committing yourself to it and go. So, yeah, I mean, we've learned pretty much every aspect of business we could ever want to imagine, more design, all that, just through experience. Granted, it would have been an advantage having some experience in those launching business, but you can do it with a lot. The other reason there was an opportunity, the last 2 points are kind of in rebuttal to it being an overcrowded market, and there's just so many bags out there. Really, we saw an opportunity with the changing market because prior to when we started in 2009, all backpack function was about, basically, if it looked like crap, it performed really well. And if it looked good, it would fall apart. And everything was like, when we started, it was all about super technical. It was like hardcore, top of Everest, like perform. Which we agree with from a design perspective, but there's also a big market of people out there like us who enjoy backpacking and hiking and want to get back, but aren't so concerned about the crazy technicality of it. So what we saw an opportunity with is really kind of transition the market out of this like crazy technical world into bringing like a design and aesthetic element into it. Because I think to truly have a great product, you have to have both form and function. And it seemed like at the time there was no one focusing on both of those. It was either or, and that's what you could really get. So we wanted to bring it in the middle and not only design stuff that outperform technically the stuff that we were competing against, but also look better. Because at the end of the day, when the customer sees something raw, we're all drawn to aesthetic. We wanted to look good as well. So we wanted to pull those elements into it. So we thought that was a missing piece in the industry back then. And I mean, honestly, we have a different perspective of the outdoor industry. We're not from the traditional side of the outdoor industry. He and I aren't climbers. We're going to do that. We're not climbers. We honestly came more from the extreme sport side of stuff, snowboarding and all that. And so we had a completely different look and opinion on this side of the outdoor industry than a lot of traditional companies and people who came from that background. So I think that in a certain way works our advantage by looking at through a different lens at an industry that was and still is kind of a dinosaur and extremely resistant to change. It's a very old industry with people who are very stubborn, who don't want to let things. They act like they want to change, but they don't. So that's kind of the side we brought to it when we got doing this, just pushing this change to a different side of the industry. So I mean, kind of like some of what I'm talking about, like really like the whole idea of bringing your passion and your career together, like these from what we've learned are really the keys to doing that. I already talked about you got to be impulsive and a little bit stupid to actually take that first leap and do it. Huge thing is seriously being comfortable with being uncomfortable. It takes years and years, and I don't think we've been in this 6 years, and we're still not to the point where we're comfortable and accepted that we probably never will be. As you grow a company, you do that, you have to accept that it's going to be a constant challenge, and you're never going to be as comfortable, stable as your friends who have a 9-to-5 job that they hate, but at least they're safe and comfortable. Got okay. I mean, you really. We always have to accept failure. The best lessons you learn from the failures you do, and that is, honestly, God, from the sorts of things you learn. And all this stuff we're talking about, by the way, does not need to apply to starting a business on your own. It's just the whole concept of, you can just be a career change. You know, I mean, you can do stuff that actually merge your passion and your career together without entirely starting a business. I just felt these are concepts that should be pretty universal for people who actually want to merge those two together from what we learned through all this stuff. Take the lead, we've already kind of touched on that. And, you know, if you're not sure, start small, right? If you don't know exactly what you want to do, at least commit to something. I would say maybe like, carve out 30 minutes a day, because I don't care how busy you are, there's no excuse you can't carve 30 minutes out of the day to do something you truly love. Like it's just for you something you truly love. And if you start doing that, you'll realize other doors open, and it leads to other stuff that you start finding out other stuff you're really passionate about, learning about, and eventually that actually will be mainly down the road finding out exactly where you want to be as far as your business, your career and your passions go. And I think the only constant is change and challenges, and you need to embrace those. I think that's just a good life principle no matter what you're doing, business or anything. I mean, you have to be comfortable and acceptable with change and being challenged. If you're not challenged in the right way, you're not happy, you're bored. And I guess kind of to sum up the part that I'm talking about in the merging these two things and accepting change and challenges, I actually found a quote that perfectly kind of sums this up. So this is actually from Jack Tracker from In the Wild. It says, so many people live within unhappy circumstances and yet will not take the initiative to change their situation because they're conditioned to a life of security, conformity, and conservatism. All which maybe appear to give one peace of mind, but in reality, nothing is more dangerous to the adventurous spirit within a man than a secure future. The very basic core of man's living spirit is his passion for adventure. The joy of life comes from our encounters with new experiences, and hence, therefore, is no greater joy than having an endlessly changing horizon, for each day to have a new and new sun. And I don't know, I just thought that perfectly summed up why we do what we do, and it's a good principle of life. He's going to continue on about the evolution.
So I'm just going to kind of touch on like how we evolved from this couple of clueless guys not really knowing what was up to forming some sort of legitimacy with our business. So just kind of like where we started, these are just kind of like things that we set out to do when we were starting our businesses. First off, I mean, do it for the right reasons. I mean, get into what you're passionate about, obviously. I feel strongly about the fact that if you're not passionate about it, you're going to fizzle out eventually. So you might as well start with the right reasons. Number two, get shit done. It's pretty simple. I mean, whether it's something really small and mundane to bigger tasks that you need to do to accomplish what you're setting out to do, it really is just about sitting down and doing something, and not just daydreaming about it. And I've been guilty about this, pretty much my whole life. I've been kind of a daydreamer, but it kind of gets to a point where if you want to change yourself and change your future, then you really have to kind of pick your nose with nice and do it. Next, make your own rules. We found early on with our business that if we were going to follow our own path, we had to do our own thing. And that meant taking a non-traditional approach to how we designed our packs, how we ran our business, pretty much every aspect of it. It's great to get guidance and suggestions on what to do, but you're really, for you to be truly happy and successful, you really need to kind of carve your own path. Not regurgitating something you've seen before and just making it your own. Also, don't underestimate the fundamentals. Starting off, know your craft, know it inside and out. If you don't, people notice. They see that. Also, seeking out good people is huge for us. We don't have a lot on our staff. We hire interns here and there, but it's really about just finding good, genuine people. there's a lot of assholes out there, and they're not really worth your time. I mean, it's worth the wait to find people that can help you grow your business to where you want it, and also just be good people to be around. Find people that wear a lot of hats and that are determined, you know. You want to find people that can hold their own, that are driven to succeed, and that also have no problem cleaning the bathroom or taking out the trash when you need it. Lastly, work your ass off. I mean, this goes with anything, like Jeff was saying, whether you're starting your own business or going to school or trying to find a job or changing careers, whatever it is. If you want it, you got to go out and get it. Work nights, work weekends, do what you got to do. For the first 2 or 3 years that we started our business, we were both working other jobs, and that just meant working longer hours and doing what we had to do to make this a success. For us, that meant packing our car, driving for hours, setting up a booth, running the booth, maybe selling a pack here or there, tearing down, going home, and then doing it again the next weekend. Just making it work, doing whatever you can. Next thing is just making that leap. You know, I mean, it's one of those things that most people have a tough time doing, and actually getting to that point where you can stop one job and get into it. You know, really dive fully in, and you'll know when the time is right. It kind of hit that point for us where it was a breaking point where we kind of had to quit our other jobs because it was consuming so much of our time and it was starting to take off that we really just couldn't do it. And you'll never really fully invest yourself in what you are passionate about if you have something else to fall back on. Just once you make that move, that's like your number one focus. You have to do it. You'll also never fully realize your passion if you can't put everything into it. Growing our business, you know, some of the things that we learned along the way, you know, use your failures and your successes to propel yourself to that next level. Evolve the way you operate. I mean, times are changing, people are changing, habits change yearly, it seems like, you know. And, if you can't change with the times, you're going to be dead in the water, so don't become stagnant. Be proud of what you've done, but also don't dwell on it. Ignore what you did yesterday and accomplish more today, and even more tomorrow. I've got my own quote for the next one. This one's from Jay-Z, but he said, "May the best of your days be the worst of your tomorrows." And I mean, it's kind of cheesy, but I also think it's pretty real. So yeah, to kind of go along with that, like just some of the, I guess, accomplishments that we've encountered along the way. We've won a lot of different product and design awards. I mean, we're still pretty new in the industry. I mean, with both of our brands, really, but it's something that we take pride in, you know. Just even hearing people off the street say, like, "Oh, I love your stuff," or like, "I want to get one of your hats," like, it's super rad. Even just seeing like one of our stickers on a car is, I don't know, you have a lot of sense of pride in that, but kind of something that keeps you going. We took our brand international, which is sweet. I mean, that was kind of a big step for us, is getting into some Asian markets and the European market, which we're still kind of dabbling in, but it's a big step, but we're happy to do it. We won local and national entrepreneur awards. I think it's, I don't know, again, with the whole pride thing, I think it's just kind of a testament to like hard work and all we've done so far. I don't know if many of you know about it, but we started a sister company last year that focuses more on urban lifestyle packs that integrate technology into the bags. So this has kind of been an ongoing project for us. We've had it in the works for a few years, but it's cool to finally realize that and kind of see it through and test out a different segment for us. We hired our third employee about a year ago, which is Michelle, but like I said, I mean, we're small. We wear a lot of hats, but it was cool to finally be able to create a job in Colorado, so that was kind of a point of pride for us as well. She's going to hate me for putting those up there. And then we opened our own shop this last March. We opened our kind of flagship store on Tennyson in Denver. It's kind of more of a glorified showroom that we run our operations out of, but kind of a new venture for us, and it's been exciting. So if you guys are in Denver, stop by. And lastly, we've had a crap ton of fun. Just to kind of circle back to where we started, I mean, it's been a fun ride. Jeff here is one of my best friends, but he's also one of my biggest enemies. I hate the guy, but I mean, we spend so much time with the guy, and I see him more than I see my wife. But yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of experiences, and it's been a fun ride, but I don't think either of us are really worth the stop. So yeah, lastly, just any questions.
And before we take questions, that's kind of the most one to wrap it out, but like, the whole thing of us just kind of rambling on about it, stuff and having crazy experience in the beginning of it is, those are all super random weird stuff, but they're something we'll always remember. We never would have had those experiences without doing this and just being able to be stupid and taking that plunge. Like, it's just, this would be a perfect case study of showing, like, seriously, if a couple of unqualified morons like us can start a business and make a splash and make bags and win these awards and actually do this, literally anyone can do it. You just have to work really hard and be really impulsive and run with any opportunity you get. So, yeah, I mean, feel free to ask us any questions, come chat with us after. Got a lot of experience and stuff, and I'm happy to share it. So, thank you.
Nobody heckles. They talked for 7 minutes. That's the longest I've ever seen these guys talk. In not one heckler. It's ridiculous. So one thing that, that I wanted to bring up with these guys is, they were rambling there for a little bit. I fell asleep. I apologize. But no, seriously, these guys, the thing that we realized when we first met them a couple of years ago is that they truly were following their passion. They had this idea, and they were seizing it. But what's more important than that to me is we all met at this big trade show called the Outdoor Retailer. It happens twice a year, and there's like 1,800 different outdoor industry brands there. So it's absolute chaos. You don't know what's happening. You can't tell. It's just ridiculous. But these jokers refused to pay the exorbitant fee for a booth. So they brought like 10 of their friends, and everybody wore their shirts and backpacks. And they started selling packs to these companies that would see them like, hey, who are you guys? And they're like, well, we want to come visit you at your booth. And they're like, well, we can't afford a booth. We're just here because we believe in what we're doing, and we deserve to be here, but we're not going to play the game, just pay to play a game. And that's what happened with the design of their packs, with not only NHM, which they have a couple of their packs up here, but with Coalition. And I think that's one of the reasons we really wanted them to come to the speaker series, is because they made a decision to throw a very lucrative leadership career. They made a decision to chase after their passions as opposed to just fitting into the status quo. And I guess one of the questions that I would have, if I paid attention earlier, I might have heard it, but what pushed you guys to choose backpacks as opposed to, you guys both have a big background in snowboarding and other things, but why packs? And then not only why packs, but what were you guys able to do specifically with NHM Design so that you got those awards you showed up there?
Yeah, I mean, choosing backpacks is a pretty random thing. It's certainly not the most popular piece of gear out there. I mean, we wanted to make money out of stuff people who would have gone into apparel. It's a much larger market, there's a lot more money involved in that. I guess just the fact, kind of weird and just like back design. I'm always like this since I was a little kid. But it's funny, it took me till I was 22 to realize how much I love back design that I actually wanted to run off and do this. But most of my background was in like the competitive snowboarding world. And the reason I didn't want to go and stay within that side of the industry is, I don't know, I think I just spent too much time on that side of it. I wanted to do something different. And I I feel like literally snowboard and ski startups are a dime a dozen. And, you know, you don't really hear too often like of people starting backpacks. And I've sort of gone with that design aspect. And, you know, I saw an opportunity, like I said earlier, with the market of it being pretty stagnant. A lot of big brands have been in business for 40 years. Really just kind of rest on that logo. This isn't the pack because they know they can sell them based on the brand recognition they have. Got lazy on their design. We thought we could stir things up coming from a completely different side of the industry. You know, offering for that new, because we saw a lot of people out there like us, you know, who were snowboarding all winter, and then, you know, summer came around. It was nice to have a really awesome, you know, life-changing, relaxing experience in the backcountry hiking. Not worrying about hurting yourself. There's a lot of people out there like that who don't identify with the traditional outdoor crowd and the traditional side of that industry that we thought could identify with our brand as well. And it seemed to work. I mean, we even come to find out, like, we designed for like that younger side of the crowd, like us in the after, but we have everyone from the traditional side of the industry, you know, young and old, that actually really like our designs and use our tags. So we ended up working across the board.
So I keep throwing this guy softballs and he refuses to hit him out of the park. I don't know what I have to do. So what I'm going to do is show you what I'm trying to get you to talk about. So and I'm going to link all of this up, but you guys have to believe this because I'm saying it. No. So these guys, one of the big things for them was they wanted simple design that worked and made packs more functional for their pursuits outdoors. So they came up with, what is this called? No, not the salute. Hey, here you go. See, I beat him in there.
There's a reason I wasn't in the product, because honestly, the reason we did come here to talk was literally just about the concept of turning your passion into a career. But I guess I should talk about the backpack stuff a little bit. Woo! Really, the first success we saw was the Salute here, and where we kind of shook the industry up and got a lot of awards we've gotten was based on this bag. You know, seems like it just kind of shows you don't need that millions of dollars in research and development and all this stuff like what basically brands have. You can literally just be a couple guys who use stuff and like to think about bag design a lot, come up with ideas that change the industry. So it seems simple, but what this design is we call it kind of pioneered this whole new aspect of packs. You hear top loading design, side loader, whatever, bottom. This is never channel loader, and basically what we did is just kind of a happy accident stumbled upon this design through a couple prototypes, but we started with the zipper up here and snaked it all the way around the bag to every single panel of the backpack. And what that allows it to do is not only open up entirely flat, there's several sets of sliders on the bag, so it's the only bag in the world where you choose where you open it from. You're not dictated from the top, side, or wherever. And seems simple, but there was really nothing done like that when we came out with this design. And like from a manufacturing standpoint, it took us a long time to get this bag right because it's a fairly complex idea to sneak a zipper through every single panel of the bag and get it to look right and function right. So what seemed like kind of a simple thing actually was, even though it's not tech and like, you know, shiny and stuff like that, it was really kind of a big accomplishment for us to be able to implement this design and do it correctly and have it function the way we intended and end up winning awards. So.
Yeah, so one of the key things with that, and the reason that I kept talking on Jeff to talk about it, is one thing that really seemed to work for these guys is they wanted to do, you know, they wanted to manufacture backpacks. They wanted to make them functional, they wanted to make them aesthetically pleasing, but then they came up with a design that kind of went above and beyond what other pack manufacturers had seen. Now, for up and down the side, we use a lot of product reviews. So when we met these guys, we were interested in looking at it putting out and if it was really going to work or if it was just another kitschy thing. And the reality is, this type of design, this idea, and this implementation of the design is the key to innovation within the outdoor industry. And that's one of the great things about, you know, a company like MHM or Jeff and Casey specifically, is that not only did they see something that they thought needed to change, but they come up with a way to change it. So it's a really neat thing. I hope you guys get to look at this Salute pack here. And just see that it's not only that new idea, but it's how you take it the next step, and it's that, you know, what they were talking about, you need to take chances and get out there. So, are there any questions from you guys? And I've asked that. Here we go. What's up, man?
You guys mentioned accepting your failures and growing from it. What are some of your biggest setbacks in startup? What are some of your biggest failures throughout the process?
Yeah, so he just asked what some of our biggest failures when starting our business were. You know, for us, I mean, it kind of ran the gamut, depending on whether you look at it from a branding perspective to a product side. So we ran into a lot of different issues, but I guess some of our main ones were, I mean, from the product side, urethane zippers, that was a huge one. Yeah, I mean, we kind of were sold on the idea of using waterproof zippers, you know, for our snow packs or for whatever, you know. I mean, we actually originally had it on the Salute, and to use a kind of a sticky urethane zipper on that much zipper is kind of stupid to begin with, but we quickly learned that and didn't use it on production models, but we actually did use it for a couple different packs, and it really bit us in the ass, and it's kind of still getting us to this day. But it was actually a company that we used that some other manufacturers have used as well, and we're still seeing issues with it, and they kind of just went MIA and screwed a lot of people over. But that was one, I guess, on the product side. And I mean, we've kind of had little tweaks and hiccups here and there with other products, but nothing that major. But I guess from like a branding perspective too, I think we should have maybe put a little bit more time and effort into like our original branding and our name. MHM, it originally stood for, I mean, it stands for Mile High Mountaineering, but as we kind of grew and kind of got into some new sectors and tried to get into some international markets and everything, we kind of found that it's a mouthful to say Mile High Mountaineering, especially for some people that don't know the language as well. It was a lot. So we kind of did some tweaks, and we've had a lot of kind of logo changes and name changes along the way, and I kind of wish we would have kind of really hammered it out at the beginning to what we really wanted to achieve. But we got there eventually. We're still young, we're still growing, but those are, I guess, kind of some of the initial ones. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're still failing. We're still making mistakes and learning from them. And I probably will, if we're fortunate enough to, you know, keep this going for decades. I mean, there's always lessons to learn from it. From a business standpoint, I think one of our biggest failures, kind of recognizing right now, I mean, I wouldn't call it failure. I think I just wish we would have like realized it sooner. I guess I would say it would be realizing when we kind of came to this time in the industry when there's like most people, the whole system was based off of a wholesale structure where you know you sell direct to you sell wholesale to retailer and then reseller. That model is quickly dying. I mean, I think you can kind of see that. And I even think we're still actually somewhat ahead of the curve in recognizing that and really changing the shit. And that's an advantage being small like us. We can adapt to change with it. But I think that, you know, obviously we would recognize that a little sooner and move more in the route of really taking it straight to consumers rather than you know, kind of being a dead horse with this old, dying trade show, traditional retail model. So.
Other questions? Anybody else?
One more. When you guys started, you didn't have much funding getting the contract. How did you go about it? How did you actually create your first initial
$10,000 family run. Which, I mean, really, when you start a company, is nothing. You know, I mean, that got built the first week for other projects. And it wasn't, honestly, I mean, I was still cleaning windows that whole time too, and I think I was putting about half of my paycheck into everything. So I was funding a lot of it in the beginning myself. We didn't need real money until our first production, which was 2 years after I started it. So we spent several years just doing the product and development side of it and really getting the product refined before we went to actually making it and bringing experience in the market. It takes a while, and I guess the thing that also makes us different is we truly are a product-driven company. I mean, everything about it is nothing about this we started because we wanted to do sales and business and stuff like that. Like, it's all been about product. You know, there's other companies on the other side of the spectrum that are completely like business and sales driven. You know, they have a concept and they just throw something cheaply together and get out to market as fast as possible. And we're on the other side of the spectrum.
Just going to ask, when it came to finding the right materials, picking the right products to make your packs, what was that process like? Finding the company that actually built the pack to your specs? What were some of the difficulties?
Pretty much, that's ongoing. You know, we're dealing with that this week in developing new product, and that's. I don't think that's something that either of us ever want to stop, is trying to find the best, you know, the best materials, the best buckles or zippers, whatever that we could use, you know, and still be cost effective and be able to make a product that to compete with all these big brands. But I guess the biggest challenge, is starting out is kind of like, where do you go? Who do you look for? And for us, it was a lot of just kind of networking and finding the right people that had intel in the industry and have produced backpacks before, and partnering with the right manufacturing factories and everything. So, it's definitely been a learning curve for us as we've gone along. But over the last 6-7 years, it's I think we're starting to get a little bit more savvy about it and figuring it out. But it really is just getting out there, putting your name out there, and letting people know what you're wanting to do. And attending industry events is huge. You know, like Steve mentioned earlier, outdoor retail is huge. Everyone who's involved in the outdoor industry is there, whether it be press, retailers, manufacturers, whatever. So that's always a good place to start. That's kind of what we're going to start using.
It was kind of a miracle too, like in the very beginning, because when we had an idea, I mean, packs are really complex because they're so three-dimensional compared to stuff like apparel. You know, they call it a bomb or building materials, so it's just basically everything that goes into one bag. And we're talking like 200 to 300 different pieces from different suppliers. You know, and it's all like there's so many different types of construction that go into a bag. It's a really complex process that, looking back, like I kind of miracle, like we're able to figure it out in the beginning. And I mean, mostly that was finding those right developers in Bozeman, Montana, to help us sew our first prototypes, our first designs. And they've been in the industry a long time, and just a miracle on them because they specialize in pack development. That's a really niche, weird thing to specialize in. So, you know, there's a lot of industrial designers out there, but most of them don't know exactly what making bags. They're like apparel and stuff with actual money. So we found them, and they've been in the industry a long time, and they knew all the connections for all the factories and materials suppliers, so that was really helpful. The first factory we used, they connected us with. Even the fact we ended up using that factory, I don't know how that happened either, because it was a huge factory. I mean, we were literally a company at the time of like one person who had no sales or anything, and part of manufacturing a factory, they wanted you have to have minimums. It was almost like selling our brand ourselves to the factory for them to even make it. Because the factory, we were sharing a factory with Gregory, you know, which is a huge brand. I mean, all Patagonia, literally every major brand you think of that makes bags was at this factory. And we were probably the only company there that hadn't even sold a bag or had never even known even heard of it. So we basically had to really sell it hard to the factory even for them to be willing to make our bags. All being like the president of it and making them believe what we're doing and why partnering with us and making their bags would be beneficial to their long.
Now you've dealt with contractors. I'd love to ask, who are your contractors? I don't think you know how to predict, like, how is it about that understand? Like, people who say you can't do this, or we won't help you with that, like, what were some of those obstacles?
So yeah, he was asking what some of our detractors have been along the way, and I guess I would kind of just counter that with we're still encountering it. You know, I think initially when people first saw our brand, it was, who the hell are you guys? You know, you're 20-something. Like, what do you know about outdoor packs? You know, how do you know how to run a business? Anything like that. So selling ourselves and our packs to retailers or whatever, you know, that was, I think, our biggest obstacle to overcome in the beginning. And it really just came down to the product. I mean, neither of us are sales guys. We're product guys, we're marketing guys. That's what we're passionate about. That's what we do. That's why we started the company. But so it really that was a tough thing for us. You know, as Jeff mentioned earlier. I mean, the majority of the outdoor industry is, older guys and ladies that are kind of set in their ways and kind of know what they like, and there's brands that do well for them, and they kind of are stuck in that rut. And so to come across guys that, you know, it's like, okay, well, one of the biggest questions we get even today is, okay, what makes you different than an Osprey or a Gregory? You know, what makes you better? Why should I buy your pack? I mean, that's something we dealt with all along, and I don't think we will stop dealing with that. I mean, for a long time, really. But I'd say that's the biggest one. But really, once people get their hands on the product and use it, we've actually turned a lot of people, and it's a success for us.
We've just been really stubborn, and back to the stupid thing of not listening to people's advice. There were a lot of people in the very beginning who, I can't tell you how many people, thought we were absolutely insane for entering this market space and doing what we were doing. Like, I remember one guy who, he repped for Low Alpine for like 15 or 20 years and had a ton of experience in the backpack world. And she was like telling me, like, dude, like, you cannot launch a backpack company based off 3 products. We had 3 designs when we launched it. And he just like, he never liked what we were doing, because he just knew how the industry worked and all that, and just told us we couldn't do it, but we pretty much ignored that and most of the feedback that people gave us like that. We kept charging for it, we felt strongly enough about it. You know, and even stuff as like simple as color, like selecting colors for our first line. I remember the developers we first worked with, we were getting to talk about it at times, just like begging me not to go like have green in our line. You know, like green is always the worst selling color. You need to have more black, and so like, you know, on and on trying to talk me out of it. But I told them no one had used the green the way we have, and we still ignored their advice and moved forward. And it turned out like that color to this day still outsells our black. Like, you know, that's why people come to us, and it's like the brighter, more, you know, aesthetically pleasing, more fun design stuff like that. Like, because most people have done green. Historically, is a terrible selling color. You know, that's why we partially got into it. It was boring design. It was like really dark, you know, forest green, boring stuff. So we kind of changed the game with our color scheme, and we're really one of the first bag companies to really push the whole really bright colored, loud stuff. And this is actually the same green I'm talking about. But yeah, so in all aspects, we always encounter them. We still do. But and I mean, there's been times I'm wrong too. We shouldn't be listening, but we definitely. Either been lucky or been right where some of the decision reports on that. I think we both got answers to that. I would say one of the coolest experiences was in the Philippines. We did it was like about a 15-mile day hike. And when I say hike, that's like a generous term for it. It was through the middle of the jungle, like in 100 degrees with 100% humidity, no trail, with just like a crew of 20 Filipinos like bushwhacking. And it was straight up a volcano. We kind of mentioned it in our experience up there. And we were testing actually the first prototype of the Salute on that trip along with a few others. And yeah, we did, it was definitely one of the hardest hikes I've ever done in my life, and the last, like, at least quarter or half of it was pretty much straight up this volcano, where it was so steep we were having to use, like, jungle lines to get the rest of the way up it. And he and I were prepared for this all. We were in vans on this hike. We did a 15-mile day hike, and it was crazy in vans. They didn't tell us that we were going to be doing this. So as miserable as that was in some ways, it's also one of the coolest experiences to be able to test that product in that environment. It wasn't intended for that environment. It was just a really memorable experience to do that, to test on these bags the first time, and just something like we mentioned earlier, like an experience you never ever would have done without doing all this.
Yeah, I think mine would probably be a more recent trip we just took to Austria. We were with our European distributors, and we were there for business. I mean, we were there for a trade show in Germany, but we spent the first few days, 4 or 5 days in Austria, doing some climbs and stuff like that. And I think Jeff mentioned earlier, we're not climbers. Like, we'll do it, you know, we'll throw our head in there, but it's not really our forte. But usually when we find ourselves on these business trips, it's usually start drinking at about 2 in the afternoon, and then stop drinking at about 2 in the morning. So we're doing this cool climb in the Alps in Austria. And, I mean, we get up in the morning and start to head towards the mountain and everything. And it was probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 mile hike just to get to the climb. And I was gonna die. Like I literally thought I was gonna die because I was still drunk. It's just one of those mornings, you know, you're just like, this is the last place I want to be. And then we start the climb, and I was like, I better sober up real quick, you know, or this is going to turn bad. So, but it actually ended up being like one of the most memorable and one of the coolest experiences we've had. Because not only did we get to test out the packs and use them, but I mean, we were climbing, and it was like there's this little kind of cottage down below us. There's no road access to it. It's kind of like a little local restaurant that people hike to and from every day just to work it. But everyone in like traditional Austrian garb, you know, and serving traditional food and beer. And while we're climbing, you can actually hear them down below. They're like a little band, you know, yodeling and playing like traditional Austrian music. It's like echoing off the walls of these canyons. It was just like quintessential like Austria, you know. I half expected some guy to be in lederhosen at the top of the mountain, you know, like blowing a horn, you know, like Rico style. But, so that was definitely a more memorable one. So.
I'm sorry you guys already touched on it, but was there a moment, you know, before NHN that gave you that entrepreneurial spirit, you know, to go do your own thing? When that became theirs?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can speak for both of us when I say that we've kind of always been like that, you know, that whether it be growing up, you know, going through high school. I mean, for me personally, it was always kind of starting new projects and starting new events or whatever I could get my hands into, you know, that I could kind of take some ownership with. And when I met Jeff, he kind of just started the idea for NHM, actually with a different buddy of his that eventually fell off. And when I first met him, I was like, heard about his idea and started pack-rating, you know. And I was working a job for Quicksilver, and it was fun, you know. It allowed me to snowboard a lot and party, and so it was cool. But I knew that it wasn't going to be like my long-term career. I knew I didn't want to work an office job, and so kind of just everything fell into place. You know, I liked what he was doing with it and the direction he had for it. So from there, I just kind of started helping out with everything I could, you know, in my free time and doing whatever possible. But yeah, I know. I mean, speaking for myself, I just know that it's kind of always been in the back of my mind that I didn't really want to work for somebody else, and I'm glad I made that decision. You know, I never looked back. So.
Yeah, I touched on it earlier. Mine was probably when I was about 12. It was when I started cleaning those. Go back to that. But yeah, I mean, like I just remember being 12 years old and kind of, you know, being in that corporate environment and just instantly recognizing how much I never wanted to be involved in that. I would have been, you know, even after college cleaning windows for, you know, a few months before I got the spark to start NHN, I would have been much happier just doing that. You know, keeping doing that job until I knew what I wanted to do. It was new and changing every day, and you know, I don't know. There's a lot of safety and you know, stuff in that world, but just grew to dislike it from an early age. Yeah, so originally our packs were made in the Philippines. That's the first factory we ended up using that I was talking about a minute ago. And that was at a really, really large factory where we were sharing a factory space with Gregory, which was ironic because they're literally one of our biggest competitors as far as, not just, they're obviously much larger than we are, but as far as like feature sets, quality, and price point, they're literally head on head with us. So it kind of sucked being in the same factory with them, and being in such a large factory is such a small brand, we decided we had to change it up. So we ended up ditching that factory and going to Vietnam, because there's a lot of smaller factories in Vietnam that were doing a lot better quality work than our original factory that we used, and they were a lot smaller and very much better with us. So about, was it 3 years ago? Yeah, 3 years. Yeah, like 3 years ago we moved to Vietnam, to the Philippines. And it's been a much better situation. Like our quality improved.
Just to kind of add on to that, like that's a question I get a lot. It's like, well, how come you don't make here in the States? And there's a lot of different factors that come into that. Mainly, the biggest one is, starting a business is, especially with technical packs, it's damn near impossible to do a technical product here in the States. There's no infrastructure built for that right now. We'd love to, and we explored that when we started the business, and it just wasn't in the cards, and it still isn't to this day. Our product would be half the quality with twice the price at this point. So, that's why, aside from smaller, not smaller, but just like more kind of niche products like Mystery Ranch and companies like that, Kifaro, whatever, you won't find technical packs that are made in the U.S. Everything is made offshore. It sucks because, we pay a lot of extra duties and taxes just to get them over here. Honestly, we would love to make them in the U.S., but it's just, for technical product, it's not feasible. But.
And I'm actually really passionate about just kind of sharing this. Most people who have been in all this really don't know how much of a farce and a bunch of crap made in U.S. bags are. It's really not that accurate. Really, some of these factories here in Denver and stuff are honestly dirtier than the one you're going to find offshore. The quality's awful. And a lot of the money, there's not a lot of people with the skill set here that are high skilled sewers. So the majority of the sewers are home sewers from Mexico, and a lot of that money ends up going back to Mexico, and it's playground free. So it's really not like this ideal world people think about manufacturing. It's like people just go and work and working all day, and it's just it's not like that. I in a lot of ways think it's worse here, than offshore. And to be honest, there's a lot of people offshore who really need to work more than people here, especially people who are here aren't really willing to do that work anymore. So it's a different world.
What really made you go from non-outdoor venture pack to more of an urban setting?
There's a lot of reasons behind that. So the basic reason is we've always committed that we don't want to get next to our base and make a bunch of mediocre here. We want to, plus they respect Osprey and Gregory a lot because they've done one thing for years and they've done it really, really well. And I think there's something to that, and that's what our passion is in the bag design. We want to focus on one thing and do it well. So our way is to rather than apparel and bag or shoes or camping gear or something like that, our way to diversify into a brand and reach a larger market, but still focus on the passion we have for bag design, was to reach over the aisle into the urban world that we saw niche there as well. And essentially the same thing we did with MHN as we on the urban side of the fence. Because on the urban side, what you'll find is everything, like I talked about in the with MHM, our motivation was about, it was all focused on function and there was no form involved. On the urban side, it's all form, it's all about fashion, and there's no function involved. So let's do the same thing, but flip on that side. And it's just the same principle. Even though it's a different company, different design, it's always about that principle of all our brands of creating a truly great product through form and function together. And we saw that opportunity with Coalition as well. And that was kind of interesting. Like the whole movement that kind of started back when we got going, trying to push things a little more in the function. Even in the outdoor industry, you guys have probably noticed this, is things have swung out the other way, and everything's all about fashion, and function's getting ignored to a certain extent. So we're still like holding steady in the middle, trying to more, make it function better than anyone else can. Our whole design philosophy, our ultimate goal is really simple. It's, offer more function than our competitors do and do it in a cleaner design. And we've been able to do that. So.
All right, we give a quick round of applause for Mr. Booth. And for you guys, especially excited with the two states in Nebraska to go up to Nebraska and make one of them by you here, as they should. Listening to that. Okay. We really do appreciate it, guys. And they dropped some of their nature stickers over on the table if you're interested. There's also some up and down stickers and some other stuff out there.